I don't know if everyone has read this, but Ren left a comment on his video and he talks about his voices in his head, and I really wanted to read that because when I read this for the first time, I was like, holy shit, he gets it. He understands what I've been through. What's up? My name's Ash and I'm going to be watching Hi Ren today. So if you haven't seen them already, I have a bunch of other Ren reactions, so after you watch this video, please feel free to watch my other videos. Give me a sub if you're interested. I'd greatly appreciate it. Just a little backstory. I've seen Hi Ren about 2 months ago and I wanted to do a video on it because I've never listened to a song that I've related to more. And I think it's really important that I talk about that today. As someone who's struggled with mental health my entire life, I think it's important for me to continue that trend that Ren has and speak on these topics in hopes that other people will not feel as alone. I'm gonna get into this more at the end of the video, but I was diagnosed with OCD or pure O. So I have intrusive thoughts a lot. It's something that I still have to this day. Kind of dive super deep into my OCD experience, the voices that I've had in my head, the intrusive thoughts. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, let's get into the video. I feel like the pig head theme has been in a lot of his videos. Always kills it at guitar. So good. So good, man.
Hi there, Ren. It's been a little while. Did you miss me? You thought you buried me, didn't you? Risky. Cause I always come back. Deep down, you know that. Deep down, you know I'm always in periphery. Ren, on you pleased to see me. It's been weeks since we spoke, bro. I know you need me. You're the sheep, I'm the shepherd. Not your place to lead me. Not your place to be biting off the hand that feeds me. Hi, Ren. I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself since my therapist told me I'm ill. And I've been making some progress lately. And I've learned some new coping skills. So I haven't really needed you much, man. I think we need to just step back and chill. Ren, you sound more insane than I do. You think that those doctors are really there to guide you? Been through this a million times. Your civilian mind is so perfect to always being lied to. Okay, take another pill, boy. Drown yourself in the sound of white noise. Follow this 10-step program, rejoice. All your problems will be gone. Fucking dumb boy.
I've never heard a song that has described the thoughts I've had as well as this song does. And I think that's why it gives me such like an emotional reaction when I listen to this song. But with OCD, I have intrusive thoughts a lot. This started when I was like 7 or 8 and I'd have a voice in my head. Sometimes it would just be like, you're stupid on repeat, or like, what the f is wrong with you? Why would you do this? Why would you do that? Are you dumb? Just basically reminding me of all the ways that I've messed up in my life, just making me feel like I wasn't good enough. It was like pointing out all the negatives all the time. And like sometimes I used to just say out loud to myself like stupid. And in this video, obviously Ren is talking back to the voice. And he's like, nah, like I've been taking some time to like work on myself. But then the other voice is always going to be there. I can relate to that so much because I've gone to therapy for 5 years and it's something that I still deal with to this day. I'll go for like months where I'm good, but then it's like I'll have an episode or something where it gets triggered and then the voices get even louder. So it kind of reminds me of that when you think everything's good and you know it's finally like the intrusive thoughts, the voices, oh, they've gone away, and then one thing triggers it and they're right there like they used to be. So it just reminds me of that feeling, and I think it's something that a lot of people deal with these types of thoughts. I'm going to get into it more, but I know exactly how he feels.
It's different, man, trust me. I feel like things might be falling in place. And my music's been kinda doing bits too. Like I actually might do something great. And when I'm gone, maybe I'll be remembered for doing something special with myself. That's why I don't think that we should talk, man. Cause when you're with me, it never seems to help. You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one. So you see, you gotta kill you if you wanna kill me.
How he said, I am you, you are me. You gotta kill you if you want to kill me. I think anyone that has OCD, intrusive thoughts, voices in their head, sometimes it gets to a point where the thoughts are just never ending. And you sometimes feel like in order to make them stop, would it be easier to just myself? Battled with that a lot in my life. I think it is a big reason why rates are very high. And I feel like they've continued to rise because I think people think they're alone in this also. But I think so many people deal with this, these types of thoughts that make us so anxious and stressed out. And sometimes you just like wonder if that would be easier, right? But it's nice that I've been through that and I'm glad I chose to be here. I really am.
You think that you can amputate me? I am you, you are me, you are I am we are one. Split in two, that makes one. So you see, you gotta kill you if you wanna kill me. I'm not leftover dinner, I'm not scraps on the side. Oh, your music is thriving, delusional guy. Where's your top 10 hit? Where's your interview with Oprah? Wow, your Grammys, Ren? Nowhere. Yeah, but my music's not commercial like that. I never chase numbers, statistics or stats. I never write hooks for the radio, they never even play me, so why would I concern myself with that? But my music is really connecting, and the people who find it respect it. And for me that's enough, cause this life's been tough, so it gives me a purpose I can rest in. Man, you sound so pretentious. Ren, your music is so self-centered. No one wants to hear another song about how much you hate yourself. Trust me. You should be so lucky, having me inside you to guide you, remind you to manage expectations, provide you perspective. That thing you neglected, I get it. You wanna be a big deal, next Jimi Hendrix, forget it. Man, it's not like that. Man, it's just like that. I'm inside you, you twat. No, it's not, man, you're wrong. When I write, I belong. Let me break the fourth wall by acknowledging this song. Ren sits down, has a stroke of genius. He wants to write a song that was not done previous. A battle with the subconscious, Eminem did it. Played on guitar, Plan B did it. Man, you're not original, you criminal rip-off artist. The pinnacle of your success is stealing other people's material. Ren, mate, we've heard it all before. She sells seashells on the seashore. Fuck you, I don't need you, I don't need to hear this. Cause I'm fine by myself, I'm a genius. And I will be great, and I will make waves, and I'll shake up the whole world beneath it. That's right, speak your truth, your fucking God complex leaks out of you. It's refreshing to actually hear you say it instead of downplay it. Music is all about the creative process, and if people can find something to relate to within that, then that's just a bonus. Fuck you, I'ma fucking kill you, Ren. Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren. I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots, and so I choose who survives.
Yeah, dude, everything in this song is just spot on. When I was little and the voice in my head started, it was always negative, and it was always like why I shouldn't be hopeful, why I shouldn't be optimistic, all the things that are bad about me. It was like this constant dialogue, and having OCD, I'd feel the need to like try to neutralize those thoughts and try to remind myself of all of the reasons why that wasn't true and why I am good enough. And so for literally hours, I'd just be in my head zoned out, trying to think through these thoughts to then reassure myself that everything's okay. And I'd be like so disconnected at times. I still struggle with that sometimes because you're really trying to like think through the thought, right? And prove it wrong. But then what happens is you're finished thinking through that thought and then another thought pops up of why you suck. And then it's that thought that you have to think through, and it's just like a never-ending cycle of thinking through these thoughts and telling yourself that it's okay, but it just never stops. And Ren bringing this to light, I think, is super important. I'm so grateful that he did.
Can kill you, Ren. Well, fucking kill me then, let's fucking have you, Ren. I'ma do it, watch me prove it. Who are you to doubt my music? Cause I call the shots, I choose if you die. Yeah, I call the shots, and so I choose who survives. I'll tie you up in knots when I lock you inside. Newsflash. I was created at the dawn of creation. I am temptation. I am the snake in Eden. I am the reason for treason, beheading all kings. I am sin, with no rhyme or reason. Son of the morning, Lucifer, Antichrist, father of lies. Mephistopheles, truth in a blender, deceitful pretender, the banished avenger, the righteous surrender. When standing in front of my solar eclipse, my name is stitched to your lips. So you see, I won't bow to the will of a mortal, feeble and normal. You wanna kill me? I'm eternal immortal. I live in every decision that catalyzes chaos, that causes division. I live inside death, the beginning of end. I am you, you are me, I am you, Ren.
Oh, I like felt that. My God. My heart is beating. Did I just say my heart is beating? I mean, I sure hope it is. Like, what? God.
Hi Ren, I've been taking some time to be distant. I've been taking some time to be still. I've been taking some time to be by myself, and I've spent half my life ill. But just as sure as the tide starts turning, just as sure as the night has dawned, just as sure as the rainfall soon runs dry when you stand in an eye of a storm. I was made to be tested and twisted. I was made to be broken and beat. I was made by his hand, it's all part of his plan that I stand on my own 2 feet. And you know me, my will is eternal. And you know me, you've met me before. Face to face with a beast, I will rise from the east and I'll settle on the ocean floor. And I go by many names also. Some people know me as hope. Some people know me as the voice that you hear when you loosen the noose on the rope. And you know how I know that I'll prosper? 'Cause I stand here beside you today. I have stood in the flames that cremated my brain, and I didn't once flinch or shake. So cower at the man I've become when I sing from the top of my lungs that I won't retire, I'll stand in your fire, inspire that me to be strong. And when I am gone I will rise in the music that I left behind. Ferocious, persistent, immortal like you, we're a coimated different side.
It's so powerful, man, what he just said. This is what I love about this man. He's talking about stuff that's like super heavy and dark and making people not feel alone like myself, but also reminding us of our strength, our power, and the fact that we are able to overcome these thoughts. And sometimes our darkest moments, I truly believe, breed strength and resilience. I really do believe everything is for our benefit. It might not seem like that in the moment, but I'm honestly grateful that I'm still here. I'm proud that I'm still here. And the more we talk about these things, the more that we uplift one another, the stronger we become. And we don't have to let these thoughts win, you know? That's why this song is just like so beautiful in so many ways.
When I was 17 years old, I shouted out into an empty room, into a blank canvas, that I would defeat the forces of evil. And for the next 10 years of my life, I suffered the consequences, with autoimmunity, illness, and psychosis. As I got older, I realized there were no real winners and there were no real losers in psychological warfare, but there were victims and there were students. It wasn't David versus Goliath. It was a pendulum, eternally swaying from the dark to the light. And the more intensely that the light shone, the darker the shadow it cast. It was never really a battle for me to win. It was an eternal dance. And like a dance, the more rigid I became, the harder it got. The more I cursed my clumsy footsteps, the more I struggled. So I got older. And I learned to relax. And I learned to soften. And that dance got easier. It is this eternal dance that separates human beings from angels, from demons, from gods. And I must not forget, we must not forget, that we are human beings.
Damn, dude. I feel like the last line reminds me that duality is just a fact of life. The positive, the negative, the dark, the light. And how he said we have to remember that we are human beings. We have to remember that we all have these types of thoughts. We all do. It's not just you, it's not just me. And that it's okay. And it doesn't have to become our whole identity. It's something that we can surpass. It really is. And I wanted to, before I get into my story and how I relate to this, I don't know if everyone has read this, but Ren left a comment on his video and he talks about his voices in his head. And I really wanted to read that because when I read this for the first time, I was like, holy shit, he gets it. He understands what I've been through. So he says, up until I was 9 years old, I would intermittently hear a voice in my head that was not my own. The voice was distinctly different to mine and always negative. It would self-criticize or urge me to do things I knew to be morally wrong. The most peculiar thing about the voice was that it took no effort on my behalf to produce. My own thoughts always felt like there was a process that required effort to bring them to the forefront of my mind. This voice appeared as though it was spoken by another. The sentences felt predetermined, like they had already been constructed. I remember very vividly at 9 years old becoming very frustrated with the voice. I stood in my backyard internally screaming at the voice to be silent again and again, and it did. In a flash there was silence, to the point where my head felt like an empty room. I wasn't used to the quiet, and that voice never returned. It almost felt lonely in my head. When I got older, I had intermittent bouts with auditory hallucinations where I would hear perfect symphonies, usually at night when drifting off to sleep. They were so clear that they sounded like they were emanating from a radio in the corner of my room. I knew they weren't there, but for some reason they never came with the feeling of fear. I also recall sitting on a bus at the age of 15 and hearing the sound of a crowded room with about 100 voices chattering away. I was the only person apart from the driver on the bus. These experiences were always brief and few and far between. My last hallucination was during an intense bout of psychosis in 2015 and was my first visual hallucination. I was walking down a pavement after jumping out my mom's car in a crossroads in a moment of frustration and distress with my condition. I was trying to run from myself. What appeared to be a homeless man with a dark complexion approached me and asked me what was wrong. I explained that I'd been sick most of my life and I wasn't sure I had the strength to continue. He looked at me and smiled and told me everything is going to be okay in the end, Ren. I had not told him my name. There was something so overpoweringly sincere about this very simple message, which brought with it an overwhelming feeling of inner peace. And in a flash, he vanished. My rational brain always linked these experiences to what the doctors have told me, that there are parts of my brain compromised by the autoimmunity in my body, that the myelin sheaths surrounding the complex electrical system that conduct my thoughts were damaged and compromised, causing these lucid experiences that I knew did not exist inside the physical world. The part of me that etches away from logical and rational thought always attributed these thoughts to some kind of otherworldly intervention that made my thoughts the battleground of some spiritual tug of war. For a long time, I never really acknowledged this part of myself, for with it brought the danger and stigma of sounding like a crazy person. I decided with my latest release, to the best of my ability, to capture and express this chess match of thought. Hi Ren comes out in just 24 hours. I can't wait for you all to hear it. Damn. The way he said, for a long time, I never really acknowledged this part of myself, for with it brought the danger and stigma of sounding like a crazy person. I can't tell you how much I shied away from making this video for that exact reason. You really worry about people being afraid of you or thinking you're crazy, and I think that's why a lot of people don't talk about this, because it sounds crazy. Reading that caption, I feel like it just validated so many things for me and made me realize I really am not crazy. It's not just me. So Ren, not to assume he's gonna watch this, but Ren, thank you for that, because that really helped me. Just that caption alone and this song. I really feel like I needed this song. I really did. All right. Part of me feels very scared to talk about this in depth, but since Ren had the strength to do it, then so do I. And I'm doing this because I hope that anyone else who has experienced this gets something positive from this. I could obviously do a whole nother video on this. If you guys want me to, let me know. So I am diagnosed with OCD pure O. And so starting at about age 7, 8, I had voices in my head and they would tell me to do things. And it usually was violent things toward myself. Basically, any pointy object, I would have these intrusive thoughts that I should hurt myself with whatever the object was. Pencil, scissors, whatever. And being 7 years old and every object you see, you're hearing thoughts to do those things to yourself, it gets very distressing. And you feel insane because you have no idea why you're thinking that, because you don't want to hurt yourself. I was a perfectly happy kid. I had a loving mom, loving dad. They were separated, but like I still was taken care of, you know what I mean? So it didn't really make sense to me. Why am I having these thoughts? And I think that's the most confusing, is like, it feels like it's this voice that's just not you. I remembered that for hours I would just like disassociate and just be in my head completely zoned out, not able to focus on anything else. And I felt that I would have to think through these thoughts. That's considered an OCD compulsion, where I thought that I would have to present myself with reasons in my head of why I don't want to do that. And I'm not a bad person. I'm a good person because of X, Y, and Z. I'm just trying to convince myself that I'm a good person and I don't want to do this. All the reasons why I am happy. And so I would try to think through these thoughts, and essentially it's called thought neutralizing. And I would do this for hours, and what would happen is you get through one thought and then just the next thought would come up and the next thought. And it's like the more you think about the thought, the worse it gets versus just letting it go. But I felt like I couldn't let it go because it was so horrible. I would have voices in my head saying to do things, violent things toward other people, specifically my mom. And then that, I just felt like a POS. Because it's like, it's one thing if it's about myself, that's one thing. But then when I started having it about, and this is hard for me to talk about, I really worry about how this makes me look, obviously. But it just gets to the point where you just really feel like just a horrible human being. And you don't understand why. Especially when you feel like the thoughts aren't even your own. And then it got to the point where I'm an 8-year-old kid. Before this was completely happy, and it's just like one day, for some reason, something triggered it. And maybe it was my parents splitting up. I think it's usually some type of traumatic event. I'm gonna act like everything was so happy and amazing, but like, don't get me wrong, there's definitely some yelling. You know what I mean? So maybe it was like a trauma response. I don't know. I just remember as a 7 or 8-year-old kid having these thoughts and just thinking like, man, I don't want to be here anymore. If I'm gonna think about doing these things to my own mother, what kind of person does that make me? And like, why do I deserve to be here? That's literally what would go on in my head. And I'm not saying all this for anyone to feel bad, because trust me, I've dealt with this and I've been able to move past it. And luckily, those types of intrusive thoughts I haven't really had to deal with as much recently. I still to this day, sometimes when I'm having bad days and I have so many intrusive thoughts going on, I'll just think, would it be easier if I just like myself or drove my car off side of the road, like that type of. And again, I'm not saying this for anyone to feel bad, because trust me, I'm in a good place. It's just that I want everyone watching this to realize that if you've had these thoughts, you're not the only one, and it's okay. We're getting through this. Don't think you're crazy if this has been you. If you're in a super dark place, therapy really did help me. It really did. I know in my past videos I've talked about how I've had bad experiences with therapists, but I also feel like I need to give therapists credit in that it has helped me tremendously with my OCD and my intrusive thoughts. And so yes, what'll happen is similar to what Ren talks about, is you'll have times where it dissipates. You're feeling like you're getting in a flow, and then something happens in your life, maybe it's traumatic or something that's anxiety inducing, and it triggers maybe what you might call an episode where my thoughts will come back in full force. And it just sometimes feels like it's just constant. It's never ending. And just like every second of every day. Like Ren said, it's always inherently negative. A lot of the times my intrusive thoughts would just be about reminding me of everything I do wrong constantly. And so I'll also feel just the need to reassure myself in my head. I'll worry about X, Y, and Z, and then I'll feel like I have to think through all the reasons why everything's going to be okay. So whether it be money, I'll have to go through all of my different bills that I have and figure out, calculate everything and tell myself, no, it's okay, I have enough money. But the thing with me is I can, and it's not to say people don't, what's the word, balance their checkbooks? I don't know. But I know people be trying to budget. Obviously that's normal, but like for me, I'll do that once, but it's not enough. It comes back. It'll always come back, and I recheck, and it's never enough. And just to feel like you can never just relax. It's always like, no, but did I really calculate it right? Let me check again. And it's that constant need for reassurance over and over and over again. And it just gets to the point where you're like, am I ever going to be satisfied? So another form of OCD that I have is relationship OCD. So when I'm in a relationship, I will do these checking compulsions where I worry that I'm making the wrong choice or if I'm with the right person. So I feel like I'll just have these thoughts that pop up in my head. And I'm actually in a relationship now. And the funny thing is, I have never felt such strong feelings for someone in my entire life. This man is husband material. I feel so strongly for him. I absolutely want to be in this relationship, and I'd be devastated if he weren't in my life. And so what's so interesting is with OCD, it chooses the thing that you care about most to latch onto and to plant doubt in. And I think it's your brain's way of thinking that it's protecting you, but in actuality, it's just sabotaging the things that are most important in your life. And I'll have thoughts of like, what if this person isn't the right person for you? What if your energy levels don't match up? What if your communication styles don't match up? I have this big thing about questions also. So I feel like the way I know someone cares is if they ask me a lot of questions. So my compulsion is I'll check for, and I know this sounds sick, I know it does, but I'm saying this because I know other people are going to relate out there. I'll literally check for the number of questions that are being asked and compare that to how many I'm asking. And sometimes I'll even count. I do this sick thing where I count the number of questions. And then it's like, if it's not a certain equal ratio, then it gives me a lot of anxiety. And then I feel the need to reassure myself of all the reasons why I do want to be in this relationship. So then I go through this mental game of listing out the reasons why I want to still be here. And then I'll have that moment of reassurance, but then another thought comes in, just like a different one that's like, oh, well, this happened and this felt a little off. And oh, but also the fact that you have this much anxiety, this means that he's not the right person for you, right? But it's like, no, that's my OCD. And now my OCD is literally just the anxiety it's producing is telling me that's why things are wrong or this or that. And so all these different things that'll pop in my head of why something's not right, why something's off. And it's like, oh, dude, it's like so frustrating because it's like, I just want to be at peace. I just want to be happy. I just want to enjoy my life. And I don't want to constantly be like having these thoughts come up in my head that I feel like I have to think through and like reassure myself on. And it's hard sometimes maybe to like fully grasp what that feels like. Because I feel like sometimes if you don't have this, it's almost like, well, just let it go. And trust me, I get that. And that's something I work on every single day of my life. It's with OCD, it's something where it's like, think about it this way. You just have this voice in your head that's constantly spewing shit at you over and over and over and over again. And all the what ifs and all of the, oh, you should be worried about this and this. And it's just like incessant all day long coming at you, all these things that you should be worried about. And so it's just like all this mental noise. And sometimes you just wish you could just shut it off. And then I think that plays into then sometimes I'll have intrusive thoughts of maybe it would just be easier if I drove my car off. Which sucks because that's not what I want. That's not what I love. I love life. I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. Maybe that wasn't the case back in the day, but that's how I feel now, and that's not what I want. It can suck that you have these incessant thoughts that make you feel like maybe it would be easier that way, just to not have this much anxiety and stress and this much mental chatter. I had been good with my OCD for a long time with the intrusive thoughts, but what happens is now that I'm in a relationship, that's a trigger for me. So then that's where the intrusive thoughts will come back at full throttle. So it depends on what happens in your life. Some things can trigger it, and then sometimes you'll be fine and you're chilling. But the thing is, what you have to remember is, this is the advice I would give, is if you're dealing with this, don't let the OCD win. Don't let it put these ideas, these thoughts into your head that deep down just like aren't true. I think OCD seeks certainty, 100% certainty. And you just have to remind yourself that that's never going to happen. You're never going to be 100% certain of the future. Not everything you do is going to be 100% safe. There's going to be risk involved. And just reminding yourself that it's okay for things to be uncertain and not figured out. And you can just enjoy the process. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll write down the fears I have, the what if statements I have, and I'll read them off, and I'll just like sit in that anxiety and remind myself that those big fears that I have, they're really not, like, if those were to come true, it's gonna be okay. No one makes it out of here alive. We're only here on this earth in this vessel for a short period of time. So uncertainty is okay. It's okay. So that's what I like to do, is remind myself of that. These thoughts don't define you. They're just thoughts. And you don't have to feel like a POS about having them. I can guarantee you a lot of people have had these types of thoughts. I can guarantee you that they just don't want to talk about them. And I'm here talking about it because I think it's going to make a difference. And so if I have to be that person, I'll be that person. There's been more people talking about OCD, intrusive thoughts, and this type of thing, and I'm grateful for that. And I think it's important to continue to talk about these things. And another piece of advice I have, really to fight the compulsion to think through these thoughts. If you do have them, if you do have what ifs or this or that, just sit with the uncertainty. Like I said, don't think it through, because all it's going to do is give you temporary reassurance, and then another thought's going to come up. By not doing the compulsion and thinking that thought through and trying to neutralize it with evidence or whatever it is, you're retraining your brain to be okay with having thoughts that you just don't have the answers to. You don't need all the answers. Like, you can be unsure about certain things, about how things are going to work out, and that is completely fine. Exciting, because I feel like I've finally gotten to a point where I can talk about this right now openly. And it's scary. It's really scary, but I've been wanting to do this for a long time now. And there's a lot more I could say on it, but I think that's all I have for now. And you're not alone. If you have intrusive thoughts, if you have voices in your head, you're not crazy. I accept you. And you need to accept yourself, because it's literally okay. It's gonna be okay. And not broken. Okay? You don't need to be fixed. Therapy can help. Just because you go to therapy, it doesn't mean you're broken, you need to be fixed. Or, again, you're not broken. So just remember that. And I love you. Thanks for watching. It means the world. It really does. If you've made it this far, seriously, thank you. I could cry. And I just want to say thank you to Ren. He's the reason why I'm obviously making this video, and he's the reason why I'm talking openly about this, and I really can't thank him enough. He's an amazing human being, and I'm grateful to have been introduced to his music. Until next time, peace.